So, another 5-minute discussion with, and today joined by the lovely Deborah Henley. So, Deborah, thank you so much. And I know that you picked up on something that I did yesterday. I don't know what I'll put the comments when that was about me getting to the end of the day feeling meh as I discussed it. I'd lost my spark because I hadn't really made an effort in the last few days. And I'm always telling people to make an effort, but you actually do something around the word spark. So
I do indeed, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, I just think that when we're feeling really energized and engaged and enthused by life, the 3 E's, as I call them, when we have those in us, it's really attractive for other people. But we're also able just to work more productively. We can get we have better relationships. We say nicer things to people, and we just put out that energy, which still got the dregs of my coronavirus. That's my little cough there, but I'm recovering. But the thing is, I feel I've got my spark. So even though I've been ill, I still feel really excited and upbeat and optimistic. And I think that's because I've spent years sort of trying to work out what I need to do to nurture and nourish my own spark. I just think it's the most important thing for everybody to ensure that little bit of them stays alive.
Yeah. I mean, simple things for me that today was the day that I thought, no, I need to put some colour on. I need some lipstick on, and I haven't been wearing that for the last few days. But because I'm spending so much time on Zoom, I'm looking at myself constantly, and I think I was just in white and drained out. And I'm thinking, no, I need my spark. So, yeah. What are the letters? What are the bits around those letters then?
Well, so I have the shadow side of the spark. So 5 letters around spark about the things that erode it, and then 5 words based on spark, which are the things that nurture and nourish it. So when you nurture and nourish it, of course, you feel much more creative, and you just kind of live a life that engages you and excites you. But when you have these eroding ones, it starts to sort of just dampen down and dull out. So the first one is S for struggle. We start to struggle with elements of our life. It might be struggling in the workplace, just struggling with getting up. It might be struggling with a relationship. It could be struggling in all kinds of ways. It's a sense that we don't quite know our way through. And then the P is pressure, pressures of, again, I think often it could be financial pressure, it could be health pressures, work, but we feel a lot of pressures. And then the A is anxiety, which is when we start worrying about that pressure, and that anxiety can go from being anxious about a specific thing, like getting ill, or we might be worried about our parents or loved ones. We might be anxious financially or whatever else. But it can go from being specific to a generalized anxiety disorder. And it can very easily turn into that if we leave it for too long. And so the other thing that then starts happening is for the R, it's reactivity, which is just a kind of knee-jerk response to all the stuff that's happening. We just kind of have a reactive gut feel that it's the opposite to stepping back and consciously taking a breath.
Okay.
And responding. So yeah, you're nodding.
Knee-jerk reaction of yeah.
And then the K is kowtow. It's where we sort of start kowtowing to a limiting idea of who we can be. So we start feeling diminished and kowtowing to all the anxiety-provoking things in the news, kowtowing to what's possible for us in the workplace, maybe kowtowing to worries and concerns. Oh, that there's no work available now. If you work as a freelancer or an independent speaker or trainer or whatever, you can easily start limiting yourself and getting into fear around what's possible and what's not possible. Recession's coming and So it's not to say those things aren't happening, but you don't need to
tell yourself, because I guess telling yourself, you end up in this downward spiral, don't you, at the spark, and you carry on sparking and sparking and sparking until you haven't actually lit a flame. You've put the flame out.
Like one of those. It's one of those when you've got a gas oven that you need to hit light with one of those spark things, and they just don't work. They go
click 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 click. Yeah.
Yeah. So this So the opposite side of that, how do we turn that struggle, pressure, anxiety, reactivity and kowtowing into something that the spark lights a fire in us, it energizes us, and it enables us to let our own light shine. So the first one, the S, is self-understanding. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. It's just taking a moment just to really reflect on what's going on for me. And the P is purpose. So it's developing a purpose through all of this. What am I going to do? It's kind of getting a sense of mission, a sense of importance for your activity. And we were talking earlier on about people who have been in survival situations on a life raft in the middle of the ocean. And those that had a purpose to survive set up a routine and said, right, I'm going to be purposeful around my day, my structure, get through it so much better. You know, the purpose might be to survive, but the purpose might be to go out and help people. So I'm just thinking now about Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. Have you read that book?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's a lovely book, and it's all about how even in the challenges, he was in Auschwitz, and he talked about people finding meaning and purpose in those kind of situations. So even though we're in a really difficult situation now, potentially, there's still a lot of meaning to be had. But meaning and purpose can be through our relationships with other people or through our work purpose. And the A is appreciation. So how can we appreciate all that we already have?
Yeah. I feel very fortunate that I live in a house that has a separate office to it, and I have a garden I can sit in, and I have a husband, and I've got food in the fridge. I don't have children, I'm homeschooling. You know, I feel very fortunate to be in a position that I'm in. There's a lot of people worse off there out there than me. So
yeah, so it's fantastic to be able to appreciate those things. And you could probably equally tell a real sob story about your life as well, but you're choosing to find all the things you can appreciate and feel grateful for.
The glass is half full.
Excellent, literally. So, and then also I think with appreciation, it's appreciating the other people around us or the access we've got to stuff. We're so lucky, I think, being in this country, for example, that we've got sort of access to so many resources, and we've got, you know, theatre things going on and film things and people and groups and communities, and there's so many fun things to engage in that are available. So it's appreciating those sorts of things, and the people around us that can have different sorts of insights, and then appreciating that there's not just one way forward. We have lots of options available, but we can often get stuck, particularly, I'm not just talking about the coronavirus, but other times when we feel our spark eroding, we can go, oh, well, I've only got one track forward. There's only one way for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good. But sometimes we have to stop. And, you know, I had to in my life, at the age of 35, I got my first corporate job. I'd always been a freelancer and always been independent, but I was having a real struggle. I used to be a psychotherapist working for charities, and they weren't able to pay as much as I wanted to be paid. It was, you know, it's a financial struggle I was in. I did have anxiety around it, and I just thought maybe there's a different way forward. And I sort of changed the habit of a lifetime and got a corporate role. And it wasn't ultimately the place I wanted to be, but it was a pathway that I needed to take for that time. So it's kind of appreciating that there are other ways to skin a cat. Yeah. And, you know, because it's all important to try different ways to skin a cat, I always think.
So that reminds me of our PSA Reading. In Gorillas, I think we did a little stage show for. Anyway,
lots about taxidermy then, so it must be something that happens between you and me. We always talk about skinning animals, not sure why. But so the R is, instead of reacting, it's responsiveness. It's a conscious, considered, creative response to our situation. And then the K goes from being about kowtow to know-how. So so if you want to be something, if you want to do something else, or you want to change your track in life, or you want to move forward in a different way, usually we do need to go off and gather a bit of know-how. If you want to become a professional speaker, it's probably a good thing to go to Toastmasters or join the Professional Speakers Association and get out there and learn the skills.
Yeah.
Uh, it'd be much tougher to say I want to be a professional speaker and then stand up on a stage without any experience and hope it goes okay. You know, and so I think that goes with everything really. You know, what do you want to have happen in your life? Who do you want to be? And then, you know, what's the know-how that you need to make that happen?
Yeah. Oh, that is fascinating. And I didn't stop us at 5 minutes because I thought actually that was the first bit is great, but I need to get the second part of the spark on the upside, because I think that people will find this video really just enlightening in terms of actually to be able to watch again. So thank you so much for sharing.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I'm sorry I went on so long. You feel free to take out the bit about my own.
Oh God, no! I don't edit these. These go out as they are. I cannot edit videos. I don't know how, but I will carry on chatting. I'm going to press stop, and I'm going to carry on chatting. So thank you for that, Deborah.